there, everybody. Welcome to another Meet the Pros live interview. This is part of our Meet the Pros series where we bring on Ecamm Live users to talk about what they do, how they use the tool, and their experience with the product, learn little bit about them, get tips from them, and basically hear about how they use the product. We have a really special guest here today. I am really excited to introduce Stephanie Liu. She is from Lights Camera Live is the name of her company, and I'm going to bring her in right now. Stephanie, welcome to the broadcast.
Hey, what's up?
I am so excited to have you, is what's up. And Stephanie, we love because she's so energetic, but she is an online marketing expert. She is just the ringleader of online marketing groups like 360 marketing. What was it?
360 Marketing Squad.
Marketing Squad. I was reading the last word. 360 Marketing Squad, Lights Camera Live, and which is a weekly show. And she does a lot more than that. I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about that. She's also a huge fan of the app and an awesome supporter. And you are joining us from California, right?
I sure am. Yep. Beautiful, sunny California. Yay!
Nice, nice. So, first question. I was told something about 90s beat scholar. Tell me about this.
Yes. So, any type of 90s hip-hop and R&B, if you, me, Ken, Glenn, and Midori went and did some type of karaoke, I would throw down on that mic all 90s? The time. Yes.
That is amazing, because we just got a karaoke machine at my house, and I'm like, what songs do I know? Because my wife, she knows like the lyrics to like every song, but pretty much I could just do like the Humpty Dance, maybe.
Yeah, is that right? Okay, we'll have to test it out the next time that we're all at Social Media Marketing World. This will be a thing. The Ecamm karaoke like bus going around downtown.
Absolutely, that would be amazing. I've never done karaoke like in front of people in a club. Is that what you do?
Well, when I went to VidCon and I had like Rob Balasabas there, Brian Shulman, and like the rest of like the LinkedIn live streaming crew, yes, it was a thing. You just have to make sure that you have enough vodka, and
okay, I get it now.
That's a good time.
And maybe we can have you on again at some point and do some live karaoke on Ecamm Live.
Oh, none of your viewers want to watch that. None of my viewers.
So that aside, tell us a little bit about Lights Camera Live, the weekly show that you do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so Lights Camera Live is where we shine a spotlight on the best and brightest marketers in the industry. That way you can go ahead and take your business from unknown to unforgettable. And Lights Camera Live really came about because when I was leaving the ad agency world and I wanted to position myself as a digital marketing strategist, I came to realize that everyone else was calling themselves a digital marketing strategist, and instead of wanting to tell people what I do, I wanted to show them. And so live streaming gave me that opportunity to really pull back the curtain and show them exactly how it's done.
And was that successful? How long have you been doing it for?
My goodness, I've been doing it for 3 years now, which is kind of cool to say.
Wow, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and it's been impactful for sure, because now after every live broadcast, I'll get a new referral, or if I have someone that calls me up and says, Stephanie, I saw your show, I saw that you covered this, I want to know more. It's become one of the best lead generating marketing tactics that have helping me out throughout my entire career.
So at what point did you start using Ecamm Live in that process?
So when I first started live streaming, I was using OBS, which, I love OBS. I was like, it's kind of like the IKEA of live streaming, you guys, because you have to build it the way that you want it to. And so I don't even remember how I found out about Ecamm. Oh yeah, I do. I think it was Leslie Samuel when he did his first live stream, and he was like, "Oh my god!" and the comments are coming up on the stream, and that's when I tested it out. And then ever since then, I've never looked back at OBS. I could take my whole entire setup for OBS and move it over to Ecamm, and that was it. Game over.
that is a great story, because I remember that live video that Leslie Samuel did. For those of you who don't know Leslie Samuel, check out his Facebook. But we had just launched the product. This is a couple of years ago, actually. And we were just trying to get it in front of people who might think it was cool. We didn't know a lot of people in the live streaming space. And we just find this video of this guy, and he's hysterically excited. And I know this is just his personality, but
Yeah.
he was like laughing, and he was like ecstatic, because I think of what you're saying is that it doesn't make you sit there and build it from scratch. It's just automatic.
Yeah.
And he was so funny. We played it 100 times because he was so happy. It was hilarious. I sent it to my mom. I sent it to everybody, and then we actually got to meet him later at Social Media Marketing World, and meet you too, and a really great group of people there.
Oh, it was fun. Yeah. Leslie Samuel has the best reactions. Like the whole entire time, he couldn't believe it. I was just like, what are you doing? What are you experimenting with? And he created this huge curiosity in all of us in terms of like, what is Ecamm? What can you do with it? And then after that, it was just, thank you, Leslie Samuel. And I'm sure for you guys, once you released a product and you got to see someone just enjoying it and loving your product, it felt probably amazing.
It did. It really did. So you started using that a couple of years ago after that video. So you have been using the app for a while. You know all the features. How does it improve your show specifically? What are some of the features that you like the best about it when you're producing Lights Camera Live, or one of the other things that you do?
Yeah, so for Lights Camera Live, what's really great is that I could set up the different scenes the way that I want them to be. So if you've ever watched an episode of Lights Camera Live, there's an intro with me sitting inside an actual desktop, so it looks like I'm, like, hey, I'm in your computer.
Yeah.
And that was really cool, because that really got people to stop, look, and listen in the newsfeed. And when you're in the newsfeed, you're competing with all the noise that's out there. So Ecamm gave me that opportunity to really stand out from the rest, and that was cool. So I'd have like my intro scene, and then I could have dedicated scenes where it's just solo, or if I wanted to bring a guest onto the show, that could be a separate scene. And what was nice about it was when I first started, I could just use a hotkey and just switch the screens pretty easily. I wasn't fumbling as I was before with OBS, and just made it pretty seamless.
Yeah, the scene, I have 3 scenes set up right now. I have just myself, just Stephanie, and 2-shot. And that's what the scenes are called. You're able to create the scene and name them, whatever you want to call them, and switch between them really easily with either hotkeys, like you're saying, or in our new version, which you were saying you want to check out.
Yeah.
Support for a device called the Stream Deck.
Yes.
And what it is it's basically like a little hardware button bar that lets you control the app by hitting these buttons on this little button bar. And what's so cool is that we were able to create a native integration to it. So the name of your scene and a little thumbnail of the scene actually shows up on the button, on the little button bar.
Yeah.
And you can use it for that. And we added a feature almost just like for fun to allow you to trigger sound effects into your live. So if you have like a laugh track or or just like a sound effect that you want to play, you can program the buttons to do that, and tons of other different things that you can make the buttons do.
Yeah. And so, even just having the Stream Deck integration, that's been super helpful, because I manage 4 different shows. So it's not just mine, but it would be like the 360 Marketing Squad, it would be the Midwest Digital Marketing Conference, and when I had to help out Anna Kachikin with her show too. And what was nice is that with Ecamm, not only can you build your scenes, but you could export your scenes. So if you wanted to go to a different laptop computer when you're on site, you could do that. And wherever I am, like this one time, I couldn't do a show for MDMC. So I had Mike Alton, my backup remote live producer. I was like, hey, here are the files. You could just import them easily into Ecamm, and then can you run the show for me? And he was able to do it. So it just gives me a lot of flexibility to do what I love to do.
Wow. So that was almost a disaster when you couldn't do it yourself. Have you ever had any kind of real disasters happen with live streaming that you'd like to tell us about that might be fun to
Well,
to remember.
for that specific MDMC, it wasn't a disaster. It was more like I was going on vacation and I forgot. So I was like, Mike Hoffman, I need you to come in here real quick. You'd be my Batman. But yeah, I've definitely had some scenarios where interesting things happened on the show. Like, I don't know if you guys know who Bella Vasta is, but she is like the queen of Facebook groups. And when I had her on the show, everything was going well, everything was going smooth, until I realized, oh my goodness, I forgot to plug in the adapter. And I knew that if I didn't plug in the adapter, that the battery was going to die. So just imagine,
and are you
Kenny,
there
like,
by
watching.
yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just imagine you're watching, you're looking at the DSLR, you see the flip out of the LCD, and you see the battery like just flashing. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, so hey, Bella, something really funny happened.
And you're like so nervous.
To plug my adapter. Yeah. And so then I switched the screen, had it on her, and she knew that that was her cue just to talk. And in the background, Ken, you could like hear me like shuffling and crawling underneath my desk, and I had to plug it in there. It worked out, and it was probably just like 30 seconds of the live stream, and then the show went on. So that was probably like my first hiccup.
One thing that's great with the Ecamm scenes is that if I had to like go down under my desk, I could flip to the just Stephanie scene, go down under the desk while you talk, and then come back and be like, "Hi, nothing happened."
Yeah. Or you know, if you have if you're coughing or something, you could just switch the screen and like let that person take over for a little bit. So yeah.
One of the buttons Glenn added on the Stream Deck, the hardware button bar, is a cough button. So basically, you can mute yourself from the Stream Deck, and then unmute yourself without having to reach over to your computer.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. See,
it wasn't something that I knew about, but I guess people who come from an audio background know that there's always like a button you can hold down while you like clear your throat or cough. So I guess that's a thing.
That's clever.
So you were interviewing some pretty high-profile people.
Yeah. I've had some amazing folks.
Who's the most interesting person you've ever talked to? And don't just say me.
I was like, wow, way to put me on the spot. I mean,
or who's a really interesting person that you've talked to?
Who's a really interesting person?
We don't have to rate them, but
don't rate them. You know, I really enjoyed speaking to Ian Anderson Gray, because he's another live streamer and he uses different live streaming platforms, and it's so interesting to see how people are producing their shows, what their flows are, and learning from them. So I feel like whenever I have any other live streamer, whether it's like Owen Video on the show, Molly Mahoney, it's always nice to learn from them, because then you start to just geek out and you try not to go down this rabbit hole. But they're all amazing. They've all been fun.
Yeah, well, speaking of learning from people, you are super experienced in this. We've established that. You've interviewed Owen Video, you've interviewed Ian Anderson Gray, you've interviewed the Prime Minister of Argentina.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You've interviewed, you said Bella
Vasta.
Vasta. Now, you must have some tips for our viewers for how to put on a successful live stream, what to do and what not to do. Let's start with before the interview happens.
Oh my goodness. Before the interview happens?
How do you prep?
How do I prep? Like, if I know, like, okay, in 30 minutes we're going to go on air, this is what I have to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So usually what I do is, if you walk by my office, Ken, like, you will hear the most girly power-up gym playlist ever in the whole entire world. And that's just because, like, you got to get yourself hyped up. And if there's anything that I've ever learned from my client, Master Chef Claudia Sandoval, it's the fact that when you're on camera, you have to 10x your energy. Because if you don't, then it's going to come across like kind of flat and boring on screen. So to do that, like, my husband just knows, as soon as you start hearing like Beyonce or even some Whitney Houston, hello, 90s Beat Scholar, he knows like we're going to be on air soon. So that's definitely the first thing that happens. The other thing is, you know, if you have a show where it's structured and you have different scenes, you want to test it out.
Yeah.
Whether you're doing a show weekly or every other week, you just got to make sure that you didn't mess up your buttons. Maybe you like I have a 4-year-old. And the 4-year-old loves to do karaoke too. So Ken, she'll come into my office and she'll get the little mic and she'll start singing. Like this morning was, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. And so I just have to make sure, like, is the audio working and all of that good stuff. And once I'm all set
that
there.
must be so cute.
Oh, it is.
Is she like a little mini you?
She is.
Aw.
You know, like sometimes, like when she sees her reflection, she'll just be like, tell me in the comments. And I'm like, no one is looking at you right now. Please stop that.
Comment down below, guys.
Subscribe. But yeah, so she's super cute.
Wow. So you do definitely, I agree with that. You must test it out. Nothing ruins your energy that you just built up with the Beyonce than going live and finding that your camera's out of focus, or your microphone's not plugged in, or you're getting tons of background noise from, who knows, the air conditioner in the room, right, Glenn?
Yeah, or like, I remember this one time, Mike Alton was saying that he had the house cleaners come by and they moved something on his soundboard, and he didn't realize it, and then he went on air and then the audio was completely off, and he was like, okay, moving forward, I need to put a post-it note that says, do not touch my studio settings. So you live and you learn.
Oh my goodness. So you're ready to go live. You're interviewing your guest. What are some tips that you have for us?
For interviewing a guest. Yeah. You know what's really helpful is when you have a guest on the show, if you can, in your, like, before you go live, try to do a tech call. Like Ken and I, we did a tech call too, and I realized that I was using my husband's Skype handle because I was like, where's Ken? How come I'm not getting a call from him? So that's always helpful. If you could get your guest on the show, probably like 15 minutes at least, check their lighting, check their audio, and make sure it's good to go. Sometimes you might have a guest that goes, surprise, I'm in a hotel room and I'm not using my usual mic. You're like, okay. And you got to troubleshoot it. And if for any reason, like, they're running late, then it's nice that you could go in and you could also push the time too without having to break all of your promotional efforts.
Yeah, we scheduled this live, and that kind of gave us a hard deadline. So I made sure that I connected to you beforehand, and then Stephanie's saying, I'm on there, Skype me, and I'm like, it says you're offline. And then Skype can be so confusing that instead of just changing her Skype login, which is nearly impossible to figure out, let's just Skype from whatever you're logged in as now.
I was like, whatever this is, and I just use my husband's. But I would say also, tips for when you have a guest on the show.
Mm-hmm.
If you can create the scene where it's just them just talking on the screen, then that's helpful. If you could also create another scene where it's just you, because if you're asking your guest all these questions all the time, sometimes they might need like a sip of water, mm-hmm. right? And you want to give them that little buffer to like take a sip from their glass without having to be on camera. Or like sometimes with the 360 marketing squad, and I know that they're watching, I see Jen Herman and I see Mike, but sometimes like when there's all 4 of us on the screen, someone will start like digging in their eye, and I'm like, oh my God, don't do that. I'm like, you are on camera right now. Do not freaking do that. So having your scene set up is super helpful.
So I'm switching to myself right now. The second I switched to you just now, I was like totally digging at my eye. I'm not even kidding.
I was like, oh, he totally put me on screen because he's digging in his eye right now.
It's a good idea. So we had a question come in here. I'll just put that up because it's a good question. Anne asks, can you share with us about your team? Do you have team members there helping you with your live stream? And if so, what are their roles? Or your marketing team, I guess.
So for Lights Camera Live, it is a one-woman show. It is me and my Stream Deck and my DSLR and Ecamm. That is my team.
Wow.
Yeah. And sometimes when I'm live streaming for clients and I'm on site, sometimes it's usually just me. Or for this one client that I had where we had we were doing product demos for 5 different products and we had to connect 8 different cameras. I actually had 2 additional people on site to help me with that, just to make sure that the connections were happening and that I could maneuver the camera. So 1 to 3.
Wow. So being the only one there, that can be tricky. Even getting your camera pointed at yourself can be a little bit of a challenge.
Sometimes, especially now that like my ankle is fractured. But I think once you have it all set up, like I know where my key light needs to be, my fill light, and then the DSLR is right there, and then I'm good to go. I don't really have to worry about it too much.
Yeah, you keep the same setup from show to show, so we're always moving stuff around the office here. Whenever we want to do anything, we have to set everything up the right way, figure out which camera we're going to use. Today, I mean, I went to go live. I went to start our test. And this is an example of why you have to do some testing, is because I connected our new Canon RP to the Mac. Now, this Canon RP has a USB-C port on the side of it. It's brand new. This is the future, USB-C. You know, the little oval one?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, and I can't find it.
Yeah, well, my MacBook Pro is the old one, and it doesn't have USB-C. I said, do we have any USB-C to regular USB cables around here? We're looking. I finally find one, and I connect it, and it didn't work.
Oh, no.
I'm like, what the heck? And then Glenn's like, try this other one. It's the same cable, but it's like different looking. That one worked. So I don't know if this cable here is just sometimes cheap USB cables are just charge only.
Yeah.
There's no data line in it.
Yeah.
And I think this is the cable that came with the GoPro for some, and it just doesn't work. So it's just like, well, we get people asking, my Canon's not working, and it's like usually the simplest thing, like the cable is just funky, and you just need a different cable. And if you're like rushing and you're there by yourself and you don't have anybody helping, that can be a lot.
Oh yeah, especially when you're testing out new gear.
Anne's asking another good question. She says, tell us about your timeline for planning a live interview.
Oh yeah. So I usually try to plan it out at least 2 weeks in advance, and so usually like the week before I'll have like my Facebook event. Because in the Facebook event, that's where you could have like your really nice Facebook event cover photo, like you and your guest. You can invite your guest as a co-host, and they could go ahead and invite all of their family, their friends, their followers, and so on and so forth. And then from there, you put in your description. So usually for me, it's the why, what, how, and what if. Like, what is the show about? Why do you need to know about it? How is this going to change your life? And what to do if you can't tune in live, right? And then from there, as we lead up to the show, I'm going to tease that out. I'm going to build buzz with it. I'm going to say, if you have any questions about LinkedIn Live, ask, drop them in the comments here, and then I could go ahead and ask Rob and Brian that are jumping on the show on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
So that's usually like the first thing that I do. The second piece, and Ken had mentioned it before, is you want to do your scheduled broadcast. And Ecamm makes that super easy for you, because you could put in your video title, your description, and you could even put like your scheduled image for it, right? And then with that itself, and you could go ahead and promote that across all of your social media, whether it's going to be in your emails or you want to send it out to your guests and have them promote it as well. That's going to be super helpful. So that's usually like two weeks back. And then the show hits, you do your wonderful magic, and then after that, you're going to go ahead and re-engage with your audience, turn that into a blog post, make it into like short social media clips, and just keep repurposing that content and go from there.
It all changes so fast too, and it seems like you're a real early adopter of things. You were saying to me earlier that you were experimenting with going to LinkedIn. You want to tell us a little bit about that experience?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So for LinkedIn Live, as you guys know, it's probably one of the most affluent networks that are out there. If you wanted to reach key decision makers, then you absolutely can. And so when LinkedIn Live first rolled out, they're saying, well, there's certain platforms that you have to use. And I was like, well, no, I've already set up my scenes in Ecamm. I don't want to have to rebuild this into another live streaming platform. And so what I realized is that you could actually, with Ecamm automatically integrates with Restream.io, which gives you all these other amazing connections where you could go live on, Twitch and all these other stuff. Well, LinkedIn Live is actually one of those. So having my scenes already in Ecamm, I connected it over to Restream, and I went live on LinkedIn. So everything in terms of like my scenes and being able to engage with people, I was able to do that through Ecamm, and it was easy.
Now, were you going to just to LinkedIn, or were you multicasting that?
So
other
I
places?
so I wanted to do something specific for LinkedIn that they wouldn't be able to find on Facebook or on YouTube. I wanted it to be specifically for the LinkedIn audience, only for them. And it was a tutorial on how I make my promotional videos using shaker.com. So if you guys missed out on that, that is on LinkedIn.
Um, tell me about shaker.com.
Shaker.com. Oh, it's kind of like, okay, so you know how Canva has like these templates and you could drag and drop your different images?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like the same thing, except Shaker makes these really badass like video templates.
Ooh, cool.
So I could take my different video clips and I'll have all these different transitions in it. I could change the text, and it's easy and it's simple and it looks different from everything else that's out there.
Yeah.
In fact, I think if you've ever watched any of the promo videos that I've created, it's with Shaker.
Oh, cool. So that's your secret to these awesome videos.
Yep.
Um,
Ecamm and Shaker.
okay, we have one more question here coming in.
Is it from Leslie? I just saw something.
It is from Leslie Samuel, and he says, "Question for Stephanie: does your audience know that you are the sickest breakdancer?"
Some do, Leslie. Some do. If you've ever seen me at Social Media Marketing World, come find me when it's like the club night. And I will be there in the middle of the dance floor sporting like my Agora Pulse hoodie. And then I will break it down for you guys. Leslie, you'll have to do like a collaboration with me next year, yeah? Maybe we could do like a flash mob thing.
I'm imagining like a really cool edited video using Shaker with you guys breakdancing and maybe beat some beat scholar kind of stuff mixed in
Oh
there.
yeah. Oh yeah. We could do the whole like Ecamm club karaoke over to the club, and then Leslie and I will shut it down. Right, Leslie?
Absolutely. All right. I'm going to thank you so much for being part of this lights your lights camera live. We're Meet the Pros, and this is a series we're doing. So if you haven't seen it before, go back and look at all the other ones that we've done. If you enjoyed this, we've got some really cool guests coming up in the future. I don't know if anyone will be able to top Stephanie. She is awesome live, and she's a great person to interview. And do you have anything else you wanna let people know about that's coming up in Stephanie Liu land?
In Stephanie Liu land, it sounds like, let's see, if you want to, I'm going to be heading out to Japan and Taiwan October 1st through the 14th, and I just discovered that you could actually go live with your GoPro.
Oh, wow.
So that is something new and fun that I'll be testing out, and in a different country. So if you want to follow along with that and what the setup is going to be, then go ahead and find me on lightscameralive.com.
And when will that be again?
October 1st through the 14th.
Oh, so that's going to be a long trip.
It's going to be a long trip. It's basically going to be me eating all this food, maybe like a little mukbang.
Nice. I'll tune in.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for being with us again. And we got some questions in and learned a little bit about your business and really got some awesome tips from you. I'm sorry I didn't give you a chance to take a sip of water.
No, it's good.
But,
Actually did hear someone cough in the background. I was like, Ken, there's a cough button. No.
that's probably Glenn. Anyway, thank you again.
All right.
And,
bye, guys.
Goodbye, everybody. Bye, Stephanie.